We're back. Fuga Melodies of Steel 2 only recently dropped and features a lot of the same core mechanics that Fuga 1 had, so much so that I won't be going over the same mechanics again. Rather, I'll be touching up on things that I skimmed over or forgot to mention, as well as tackling the first few chapters of the story and new systems in place. Maybe we even throw in a couple tips toward the end. To start off, in the main menu there's a selection you can make to watch a recap of the prior game's events. It's also not a particularly good recap, it's a clip show with no dialogue that takes you through the various enemies defeated in the prior game. It's not as terrible for a returning player because it may well tap into your brain and unlock those memories when presented the visuals. Any newcomers, however, aren't going to have much of a clue of what's going on, and would be better off playing through the first game themselves or watching someone else's playthrough, maybe even just a collection of cutscenes if one can find them. If you have played through the first game, you'll notice something is very different. We're not piloting the original tank. We're piloting the Shadow to the Sonic. This time we're in the edgy tank, the Tarascus, which happened to belong to the first game's main enemy, the head honcho of not Germany but Bermany, or the Berman Empire, or whatever. Hitler, or Hex, I guess. It would be easier to draw the parallel if they looked anything alike. Dr. Blutwurst definitely looks more the part, but he's either dead or not yet in this game. I'm not entirely sure, I don't remember because the recap didn't quite fill in the blanks in my memory. Hex, who definitely is dead, probably. His personality is contained within the Tarascus and serves to guide the children this time around, as opposed to the mysterious voice from the first game that turned out to be the Tyrannus' artificial intelligence, Gene. Around that same time period, we're shown a few different cutscenes that explain how the children had gotten to that point. The Gasco army, treated as the good guy faction of the game, requests that the children come to their base of operations. Once they're there, it's revealed that no one can enter the Tyrannus. They can't get the doors open. The kids walk right up and it opens. The lady you're talking with says, "It must only open for those it deems worthy," which seems like a pretty wild assertion. I mean, I would have just assumed that it recognized them as prior pilots. Or Jean was still in play or something. Yeah, I don't remember what happened to her either. But anyway, some of the kids continue to talk with the Gasco army while the others board the Tyrannus and do a quick look around. This would prove to be a mistake as the Tyrannus decides now is its chance. It blows a hole through the entrance and takes the kids with it. Everybody starts freaking out, the president is dead, the kids scramble about looking for the other big tank, find and board it to pursue their friends. Thank God literally nobody is guarding said tank, but people are panicking right now, so it makes well enough sense, I guess. My first thought definitely would have been to board the only thing in the base that could fight the other tank. So maybe it's the kids that are the smart ones here. Now we start working towards the Tyrannus to save our friends. We stumble across what looks to be Berman tanks that have been taken over by some kind of plant life, only they're not exactly Berman tanks. They're modeled after them. These ones are unmanned and operate autonomously. We follow a string of combats with these things until we arrive at the Tyrannus. The children act as if they are under a sort of hypnotization when we get there, and of course they are. The Tyrannus engages a new teleportation function and shoves Malt's little sister into the soul cannon, initiating a countdown sequence as it does. Not unlike the first game, we enter a combat where all we can do is defend and pray as the kids try to work something out. They don't. They're utterly and hopelessly destroyed. Malt then talks to a mysterious man from beyond the grave who says, "Try again, idiot." So we proceed to try again, idiot. This time we can target the soul cannon. After we've given it a few slaps, we're given a chance to try and snap our friend out of their trance, which delays the soul cannon's firing mechanism. And I say chance, but these responses you're giving, they couldn't exactly have more obvious answers to them. After we've defeated the Tyrannus, we roll up on it and use the teleportation function to our advantage. We get May back. She's conked out for a while though, and the Tarascus is stuck in its tracks without enough power to move its treads. The Tyrannus, rather than taking advantage of the situation, says bye-bye, and makes its way off into the distance. This is going to be the story loop for the next few chapters as we work to damage the Tyrannus a bit and then teleport our friends safely within the tank. Damn, they actually felt the need to point out here that these two are distinctly different shapes, like we don't all know that Boran is fat as hell. At some point, we also run into two Berman military men that we spared in the first game, which I distinctly remember because they come off as a somewhat more sinister version of the two old Muppets constantly heckling Fozzie. You know the ones. They're totally villains, but there's something endearing about them. It's a shame that I'm sure they're gonna try and pull something with the way they talk as your captives aboard the Tarascus, but I'd much rather keep the two chuckleheads alive if I can. I suppose I'll see if something happens later or not. And that is actually as much as I want to talk about the story as I feel any further gets way into spoiler territory. Instead, let's get into some mechanics. In the first game, there was a notebook in which the kids would write down their wishes stating what they would want to do that day, and if you managed to get it done with the allotted AP you were given, then that child's mood would improve, allowing them a higher chance of entering hero mode in the fights ahead. The same is true in this game with very minor differences. The first of which is that the farm has been separated into two parts. The animal handling and the gardening are now their own separate things that cost 1 AP apiece as opposed to a combined version for a total of 2 AP. The second of which is that there's a chance for a character's wish to be these 3 dots, which equates to they need to use the bathroom, I guess. The moment I got this, the only time I got this, I switched to the character that had it and then chased a teleporting golden swan toilet-looking thing around the Tarrascus, and wow, that is just a really weird addition. But I can't complain too much. When you've managed to chase down that toilet, it gives the character hero mode for the next 10 rounds of combat, as opposed to the usual 5. I don't know if I've ever been quite that satisfied after a restroom break myself, but whatever. A more interesting system that's been added is the judgment system that Malt gets. You've got 2 branches, empathy and resolution. You'll be asked questions or have to make decisions throughout the game that are tied to each branch, and based on what you choose is the branch you upgrade. The further down the branch you get, the more leader skills you unlock. Yes, Malt is the de facto leader in this one, sorry wappa no onion. Leader skills activate passively and give nice effects, like guaranteeing an enemy misses an attack or placing all characters at the very beginning of the attack timeline, allowing them to strike first. We also have access to a new weapon called the Managarm. It's like the Soul Cannon in that it requires the use of a child, but it basically just saps their energy and puts them out of commission for the chapter rather than outright killing them. It also says it will give you 0 experience points for the battle if you use it, and with that knowledge alone, I haven't bothered using it. I'm not missing out on my experience points, there's not a chance, dude. You can also run into these silver and gold variants of enemies that will flee the battle shortly after being found. You take them out quick and get bonus XP or money based on the type. The last game had more of a barter system, but this one actually uses money. And speaking of money, there's new places you can use it. New to the field are airship stations that can take you to and from various areas to collect more materials for a small price, as well as giving you access to quite a few shops that you might see in town. The airship station also reveals that there are paths you can't take until a New Game Plus run, which I'm fairly curious about, but I've got a ways to go yet until I finish the game, and quite a few more videos I'm still editing, so hopefully I can even find the time for a New Game Plus run. Alright, quick tip section. If you always take the more dangerous paths, you can stay on top of materials and money significantly easier than otherwise, and it's not so difficult that they're worth avoiding most of the time anyway. A dedicated healer is infinitely better than using up your healing supplies. The earliest in the game is Chick. You'll want to avoid injuries as much as possible. Some enemies can just get lucky and inflict an injury on a child anyway, but the higher the Tyrannus' health is, the harder it is for that to happen. This is why a dedicated healer is pretty nice. You don't want to take an injury because then you'll be forced to use the dormitory to heal the child, and that costs 5 AP, which is a bit steep. Expeditions also cost 5 AP, and generally you only need 1, maybe 2 good runs of an expedition to have all the materials you need from it. So most of the time, it's not worth putting into anyway, especially considering you get 1 free run of an expedition when you find a ruin for the first time. On the other hand, you always want to be planting crops and tending to the animals as to increase supply aboard the tank. More food supply means more food. More food means more attack or crit, or my personal favorite, experience gain, which should have us a bit tougher for the latter half of the game as it rolls around, seeing as level is directly tied to both damage and the skills that a character has access to. At the beginning of combat with an enemy troop, the starting position of each of your guns is determined by a character's speed value. You probably knew that, but you can also switch to your fastest characters before defeating the last unit and retain those faster positions in the next combat. If you time it just right, you can switch to whatever characters you'd like at the beginning of the new phase, and it's just a little bit of an edge in battle, but it's useful nonetheless. That's about all the tips I have. Despite the complaints that I do have about the game, I'm as happy with this game as I was with the game that came prior. It's built upon the foundation that it set, and in general, it feels like a somewhat improved experience over the first one gameplay-wise. Not necessarily is it a huge jump, but it is a jump. And hey, I'm here for the characters and story anyway, and those are both still fantastic. CyberConnect has always been at its best in the writing room, and that hasn't changed here. I am still a bit miffed about the release date, considering the Zelda game did drop at the same time, Darkest Dungeon 2 dropped at the same time, and we're pretty close to Silksong's release too. Wait. Silksong was delayed? Motherfucker!